We're on Capitol Hill in front of this magnificent pink granite monument dedicated in 1927 in honor of the Mormon Battalion. The Mormon Battalion was a group of over 500 Latter-day Saint men who marched in 1846 from the Kansas-Iowa area all the way to California, the longest military march in recorded history, 1,870 miles in just about 2 months' time. President James K. Polk authorized Colonel Stephen W. Kearny, commander of the Army of the West, to enlist 500 Mormon volunteers and march to California. After 3 weeks recruiting with the aid of Brigham Young and other officials of the Mormon Church, the battalion was mustered into the United States service at Council Bluffs, Iowa. The march was via Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, and from thence to Santa Fe, New Mexico, where the battalion arrived in 2 divisions in October. The battalion left Santa Fe October 19th and marched southward down the Rio del Norte, thence south and westward to near the headwaters of the San Pedro, north and westward to Tucson, and so to the Pacific. The march of over 2,000 miles ended at San Diego on the 29th of January, 1847. The battalion served in garrison duty in San Diego and Los Angeles and in outpost duty at Cajon Pass until the term of enlistment ended on the 16th of July, 1847. 81 members of the battalion re-enlisted for 6 months additional service and were known as the Mormon Volunteers. After the Mormon Battalion was discharged in California, several returned immediately to the Salt Lake Valley to rejoin their families, but others lingered in California and found jobs. 7 members of the Mormon Battalion worked at Sutter's Mill and discovered gold, which began the 1848 gold rush. An interesting tie to Salt Lake City was that obviously in 1847 the pioneers arrived in Salt Lake. They spent the first winter here and were starving. In the early spring of 1848, things were so grim that they began eating sago lily bulbs in order to survive. That's why the sago lily is Utah's state flower. At a special conference held that spring, Heber C. Kimball prophesied that within 6 months you'd be able to buy anything in Salt Lake City you could in New York City, only at cheaper prices. The discovery of gold in 1848 by the members of the Mormon Battalion in California began a gold rush and panic that caused numerous people from the East Coast to load wagons with goods and implements and clothing, rush to California expecting to make a killing in the gold fields, but by the time they got to Salt Lake City, they had gold fever so bad themselves, they dumped their goods here at cheaper than cost prices and rushed to California to find gold themselves. The prophecy of Heber C. Kimball was fulfilled, and goods were available to Latter-day Saints here in Salt Lake City at cheaper prices than even in New York City.
For more information on hallowed ground sacred journeys, please visit virtualtours.byu.edu.